I'd like to start with some historical remarks for the benefit of many listeners who are here. You've been here, yeah, you were here in 2016, 5 years ago. You had joined Gucci at that time, well, I think 1 year or maybe 1 year and a half before. You talked about the selection of Alessandro Michele, how everything went. Well, 5 years have gone by. Well, I'm going to ask you what has happened over the years, and if you look back, what have been the highlights and the main moments over these years at Gucci? I have 19 moments, no, 19 minutes, right? Yes, then we can also run out of time, no worries. Well, these 5 years, well, it was a great experience. Undertaking last year, this was a very impactful and traumatic experience. We focused on goal setting. It was more than a dream for the business plan. The turnover was 3.5 billion euros and 2.6 billion euros in 2019. This year we will close the year in a very positive way, I guess, maybe more or better than expected. Well, when I joined Gucci, I had a very different situation. I mean, there were so many people who believed in me and in what we wanted to bring forward. We wanted to be creative. We wanted to protect this kind of element. Well, then we get used to growth and investors and money. 40% of annual growth is kind of a normal thing. You know, we have to understand and think about what we did in 2020. We tried also to change the appearance, the aesthetic aspects, because when it comes to fashion, we need to be innovative. So in the best case scenario, we try to take advantage of what is going on. And in our world, this applies to external and internal events. This is kind of a joke in our group. We say, okay, it was a very bad year, but we tried to make the most of it, and we tried to, well, not to think maybe too far or to see too far. You need to deal with the difficulties you have, but you know, you lose some sales, and then you have to catch up. You have to resume selling and keep on selling, etc. Well, you want to protect talents, you want to protect digital technologies and stores, and this is something that applies to the short and medium and long run. Well, in the last press release, last 9 months, I read that Gucci is moving to the retail sector more and more, is focusing on this. It's not just about resellers in Italy. They do an extraordinary job, actually. Well, what I can say is that together with Alessandro, we thought that after 5 years, we should also change our strategies. Well, the time has come for a change in aesthetic terms, but also from other points of view. 2020, 15, 20 days after the pandemic, we started working in another way. We made choices. We wanted to upgrade our brand, and as such, we decided to opt for a different distribution channel. This was an important step forward for all of us. Wholesale sector, we reorganized our business together with our companies. We also created a selective distribution contract. We wanted to increase and enhance our image. DFS, we renewed the contract with them, with all the retailers, no longer wholesalers, but concessors. We wanted to create and to set up a more solid, a more robust business structure compared to the last 10, 15 years. We went through many difficulties, as you might understand, financial difficulties from any point of view, but we wanted to do this kind of step forward. We heard talking about the wholesale part. Just to give you an idea of the figures, 2019 up to 2021, wholesale was no longer 1 billion, but 650 million, so half, 0.5 billion. This was the reduction of the wholesale. So all in all, the retail part, we renounced 1 billion, 0.5 turnover due to this reduction. It's not easy to understand all these when you look at our company from the outside. I mean, but we are much stronger than we were in 2019. And at the same time, when we changed our business and our distribution channel, we also decided to change our appearance. We reduced the number of presentations in our trade shows. In 2020, we just took part in 2 of them, but Italy, compared to France, well, has a more closed product, so to say. We had to push it a little bit more, but not too much, because from the communication point of view, it's not always suitable to do something like that. We try to do the right things. Gucci was very creative. In 2021, we also organized Gucci Fest for the reselling part, etc. I was mentioning before, but we also presented the new platform which enables us to work together with Gucci, powered by Gucci, without Gucci as well, with many different realities, with different aesthetic characteristics and distinguishing features. We have much more freedom in terms of expression. So we wanted to reimagine the future of Gucci. What kind of Gucci do we want for the future? We are a great player, creativity. Well, we have always given free rein to creativity, which is just great for all of us. In the last quarter of 2021, we had an alignment in terms of choices. We have a new footprint model, and we have new market share, which is continuing up to the end of this year. We have, well, a new position. So we're going to start 2022 stronger than before. I think it's also worth mentioning that it's good to get back to the turnover of 2019, but we also are going to renounce the wholesale turnover, as I told you before, because we reduced the wholesale part. Well, let's go back to the more tangible signs of the changes of the market in the last 10 years. Well, we had a 2-year plan. Well, we had the collection, so the spring collection, fall collection, and autumn, and the winter collection before. Well, do you think we will have more fluidity? Well, every brand will make maybe their own choices. What do you think about that? Well, it depends. Well, all the brands can make their own choices. We made this choice because we thought about internal and external conditions, and we thought the time had come to have more, to be more creative. Well, you know, 2015 was the year in which the first collection was issued at the Cinque Giorni, but the collection was already ready. And we think that in the fashion history, there has never been such an attempt, which was so strong as the one we did. This also gives you the way in which we want to empower companies. We want to give them more power. This was a great moment from this point of view. I mean, with Off Parade, with Aria in April, with Off Parade in Los Angeles, in which we wanted to give a boost to the new vision of Alessandro from the aesthetic point of view. There is no reason for us to be outside this range. We will in Milan in February for sure, sorry. And we will be in May, in June, in all the events. And we are back in that position. I mean, we now have a method. which is quite similar to the one we had before the pandemic, but the internal external conditions have changed. So this is a communication, this kind of preview. You will take part in the fashion events in Milan in February and in September, and this is also about all the fashion shows that are going to take place here. Also in the fashion sector we have new brands, and this is a very good and positive sign for all of you. Something I was curious about, well, you are keeping on opening new restaurants together with Bottura. Is this just an image or something you want to convey? Is this just by chance you are friends? Or so what do you think about that? Well, this is not a business initiative for sure. Bottura and business, well, they don't go hand in hand. You can talk about dreams and quality and emotions, feelings with Bottura, but we had some common grounds and common values. We were friends when we were at school. We were in the same school. We used to attend the same high school for tax accountants, etc. So we worked together. Well, Massimo follows me and not the brand. So with Gucci, this was another. So we got closer to each other. Alessandro and Massimo, they share the same values. When we sat at the table and we started talking about things, how this restaurant could be or what it could be like, well, then we open up in Florence, one star in Los Angeles, another restaurant, the first Michelin star, in spite of the pandemic, and it was like it was open 3 months, and then in Tokyo and in Seoul, and this is the last one, okay, and that's it. So if you wanted to go there to this kind of restaurant, you can go there. And in 2019, you started the CEO Carbon Neutral Challenge, right? How did you come up with this idea together with San Pellegrino? Is this something you are bringing forward, right? Yes, of course, this is a challenge. So it takes time, it takes people to take part. We don't just have San Pellegrino, we also have Lavazza and many other players. How did they come up with this idea? Well, we have another company which is quite similar to ours, 100 years, this is the anniversary this year, okay? So you have an impact on the environment, okay? So you have to think about the carbon footprint. You have to be able to measure your impact, environmental impact. So for each and every line, we also take a look at the carbon neutrality, use of water resources, gas, greenhouse gases, etc., etc. So environmental impact, we reduce it by 47% in 2000 compared to 2015. All the activities were very fruitful from this point of view: renewable energies, recycling materials, circular economy. No chemical part from the materials used in our company, but the impact is still there. Since I'm a CEO, I'm not used to having objective by 2015 as the big leaders of the earth do. In 2050, I will be 90 years old. So the point is, we can do something. We can be there. We can be positive. We can also stick to the rules. If we use the right rules, then we can be in the right position, right? If we want to mitigate, then we can do it. What do we have to do? We have to offset. What does it mean? We work with regenerative agriculture. We can also buy carbon credits, etc., etc., in order to find the right balance, in order to reduce and mitigate the environmental impact. Well, I don't want that this technology is just used for the improvement of the impact. We can do it, but we also have to consider that we have taxes on that. The carbon tax, for example, no one lost it for sure. But since the government agrees on that, and all the companies as well, then they just said, okay, if you want to follow me, just follow me, and if you don't want to come on board, then you just stay behind. I mean, you conveyed this message. Something that also struck me is the new Demetra product that you made available to our brands. Do you want to tell something about this? Yes, Demetra came to light thanks to the use of our leather goods factories. This is recycled wood, actually. The aesthetic effect is the one of leather and sneakers. So yeah, I saw no difference. Yeah, the point is, this was an extraordinary development, actually. Well, the Gucci products, I worked with them for many, many years, and we made everything available for the fashion sector with different finishes, which can be also very differentiated, outstanding and differentiating. The point is, you can use these materials in very different ways. It's very nice to tell about them. When I talk a lot about them, the sustainability related aspect goes to the background in a way. So when you buy something nice, so you have to focus on that. It's not just about fashion. This is a product that must be outstanding. It must be amazing. And then you also have, this is kind of a preliminary condition. It's not just about the sustainable part. Otherwise, you don't have any markup. You can't earn. Our world is a world that is based on emotions. So you have to focus on emotions. I tell you about a dream or something that can come true. And there is also a reason for which Greta has 13 billion followers and Timberbass has just 200 billion. I mean, 200 million, sorry. So this, you will manufacture more and more sneakers with this kind of faux leather, sorry, and we think that this is also our future. We wanted to manufacture a product that is appreciated by our consumers. So these imitation leather, these leatherette, etc. Well, it must be profitable. It must be sustainable over time. Also for the people working together with me. We have already talked a little bit about that. You will celebrate your 100th anniversary in 2021 this year, right? And will it be even more difficult or maybe as difficult as now to keep being competitive with all the 3-year plans? So what do you see for the future? Well, I see it in the same way as always. Sometimes this is a kind of a trip. The world changes very, very fast. You need to be able to position yourself based on the brand you have. Gucci has always been extraordinarily linked to consumers, also from the emotional point of view. And this is something we can see with the House of Gucci today. We have seen it recently with the Aldo Gucci, who opened this store in Beverly Hills. He became so famous in the 60s, and the Beverly Hills campus, they put kind of a flag on this campus. So nothing has changed compared to that time. There is a very cozy relationship with the consumer, which is completely different from our French partners, and we have to work on our assets, on our strength, imagination. We are kind of a chameleon, so to say. So we have great people that follow this logic, and they are willing to question what they've done up to now. So in this way, you can grow, and you can keep up with this rhythm. This is something beautiful in our job. It's not something static. It's not something. Last question, Tom Ford and the award. The book in which he said that he reconciled with Gucci and he could detach himself from Gucci thanks to the work done by Alessandro. Yeah, it was a great pleasure. And I sent everything. I was really, really glad. Alessandro was also very glad and pleased. As we can imagine, without Ford, we wouldn't be here. So I owe a lot of respect to all of them. Very last question, so sorry. Gucci is the leader of a great supply chain as many other Italian brands and non-Italian brands. It's not by chance that luxury is done in Italy. What can we say about Italian SMEs? Well, producer, manufacturers, but also brands. Well, Gucci has a 100-old history. What can you recommend to the next companies or to Gucci for the next years? Minello, and then we also had Flores, Mario Gardeni, who is a partner of Orienta Capital. Well, first of all, this is a suggestion I shouldn't give to the PME, to the SMEs. They should give us suggestions, maybe. They are just heroes. I mean, they are doing very, very well. But an important point, sometimes it's important to have this kind of distance as a manager, because they created kind of a child, a baby, and if you don't renew yourself, then this baby is gonna die. I mean, you have to keep up with the rhythm, with the changes, this kind of balance in terms of managerial aspects and the strategies. Well, I think this can be the future of the SMEs. I don't know, maybe we will meet once again in 5 years' time here once again. I would be very, very glad to see you again in 5 years, even if you're not be part of Gucci, or maybe you will be still part of Gucci. Thank you. Thank you very much.